In this video, I'm going to look at performing a clean install of Windows 10 version 2004. Now, in this video, I'm not going to discuss downloading a Windows 10 ISO and creating a bootable USB. I've already created tutorial videos which discuss how to do this. So this new version of Windows 10 has very little in terms of new features, but has a lot of under the hood fixes, such as the way Windows 10 searches or indexes files. Now in the past it would index the entire drive, and this would basically give you 100% disk usage in a lot of cases, and would basically give your system a severe bottleneck in terms of performance. In some other cases you would get CPU usage at 100%. And as I said, Microsoft have made changes in the way Windows Search works and some other under the hood fixes which prevent this. So insert your Windows 10 bootable USB and power up your Dell and press F2 to get to the UEFI BIOS setup. So here we're going to go to System Information, and we see we've got a 256GB solid state drive. So we've got a single M2 solid state drive, and we'll use this to clean install Windows 10 on. Next, we'll go to Secure Boot and we'll see that it's enabled. We'll go to Advanced Boot Options and we'll see that Legacy ROMs are off. This is the correct setting for a UEFI BIOS and Secure Boot. Next, in System Configuration, we can go to SATA operation, and for a single drive we should be using AHCI. And if we go to drives, so we can see that we've got all the SATA ports enabled, but we only have the M2 solid state drive installed. So now I'm going to go to Maintenance, and I'm going to select Dell Data Wipe. And I'm going to select Wipe on Next Boot. I'm going to select OK, and then I'm going to select No at the negative question, and then I'm going to select Apply and then Exit. So the computer will restart and we'll be given the prompt for Dell Data Wipe. So I'm going to select Continue and then Erase. So the erase will be pretty fast if you've got a solid state drive. However, if you've got a hard drive, this will take several hours. So now I'm going to power off the Dell and insert the Windows 10 version 2004 bootable USB. And I'm going to power it up and press F12 to get to the UEFI BIOS boot menu. And here we'll see that the boot mode is set to UEFI and Secure Boot is on. So I'm going to press the down arrow key to highlight the USB, which is the SanDisk in this case. And once I've got it highlighted, I'll press Enter. And this will begin the Windows setup. You will only have a single language to install. That depends on the installation media you downloaded. However, you can change the time and currency format and keyboard or input method to your region. So for example, we can use the United Kingdom English, and we can change the region to Canada or Australia. In the next screen, when we select Install Now, the installation media will look for an OEM embedded product key, and if it finds it, it will take you straight to the license agreement as shown. If it doesn't find it, you'll be given the screen to input a product key. Now, all the activation mechanisms regarding Windows 7 product keys still work with Windows 10. However, Windows 7 product keys should be considered one-time use only. So once a version of Windows 10 has been installed and activated, the motherboard details will be submitted to a Microsoft product activation server alongside the Windows 10 edition. So for Windows 7 Starter, Home Basic or Home Premium, if you've previously installed Windows 10 Home, which is the free upgrade to these, you can just select Windows 10 Home and install it without a product key. Likewise, for Windows 7 Professional or Windows 7 Ultimate, you can select Windows 10 Pro and install this without a product key. So in order to proceed, we'll need to accept the license agreement, and then we're going to select Custom Install. Now, if you've performed a Dell Data Wipe, you'll just have drive 0 unallocated space, so just select it and then select Next. Alternatively, if you've got an older system which doesn't have Dell Data Wipe, then you're going to need to select each partition individually and select Delete until it says drive 0 unallocated space. Do not worry about any recovery partitions because these will be for the old version of Windows, and anything the Windows 10 installation requires will be automatically created by the Windows 10 installation media. So the Windows 10 setup will copy all the files it needs to the drive, and then you'll be given this 10-second screen informing you that your computer is going to restart. Remove your bootable USB here, as some people get their bootable USB at the top of their boot menu and basically end up in a loop going round and round with the starting part of the Windows installation. So your computer should restart and you should see getting ready, and then it will restart again, and then you'll see just a moment, and then you'll be asked for your region. So I'm going to select United Kingdom, and then your keyboard layout, which I'll select United Kingdom again, and I'll skip any additional keyboard layouts. Next, Windows 10 will attempt to connect to an Ethernet or display a list of wireless networks. So select your wireless network and then input its password. So we can now either create a Microsoft account or a local account. So we'll look at Microsoft account first. So select Setup for personal use and then input your email and then input your password for your email. And then you'll be instructed to create a PIN. So I'm just going to create a 4-digit PIN and then I'm going to confirm the 4-digit PIN. And the next screens will be the privacy settings screens. So you'll not be able to select accept until you select an option. And the screens are designed this way to prevent users from just selecting next, 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 and then finish without reading any of the settings that they're accepting. So it's a compromise between functionality and privacy. So I don't use speech recognition, so I'm going to select don't use online speech recognition, and then I'm going to select accept. Now in the next screen, because I use maps and weather, I'm going to share my location. I'm not going to find my device because it's a desktop. I'll send full diagnostic data, but I don't want to share my typing and inking. I'll get tailored experiences with my diagnostic data, and I'll select no to get targeted ads. Instead, I'll just get the random default ads. The next setting is activity history, which can be accessed with the Windows and Tab button, and basically you can see what you've done on other devices signed in with the same Microsoft account. You'll then be given the option to link to your Android phone, which I'm not going to do in this case. In order to use OneDrive, we need a Microsoft account. Now we have the option for full OneDrive integration. So when we select this option, the desktop, documents and pictures folder are all subfolders of OneDrive locally. So they're all automatically synced to OneDrive. The downloads, music and videos folder remain local folders. If we select only save files to this PC, on the other hand, then all the folders remain local folders. However, you can access your cloud storage by selecting OneDrive above this PC. So if we right click Documents and go to Properties, we can see that it's not nested within the OneDrive folder and it has no cloud icon beside it. And this Documents folder is different from the OneDrive Documents folder, whereas in the previous case they would have been the same folder. The last option with the Microsoft account is to use Cortana, and I don't use Cortana, so I'm going to decline this option. Okay, so now let's have a look at creating an offline account or a local account. So select Setup for personal use, and then to the bottom left select Offline account. Now Microsoft prefer you to use a Microsoft account, so when you select this, they'll tell you that you'll get a limited Windows experience. So you'll need to select limited experience to proceed, and then you can input your username. Now I don't recommend inputting a username with special characters or spaces, because some third-party apps may not like this. So you can input your password and then confirm your password. And if you do this, you'll need to set up security questions. So I'm just going to go back and not input any password and proceed that way. So once again, we'll have the same questions that we got asked when we were setting up a Microsoft account. So I'm going to select the same settings as before. So the setting activity history works better with a Microsoft account because it works across devices. So this setting mentions a Microsoft account. So I'm going to select no for that one. Okay, so once all the settings are selected, we'll get to the final stages of the Windows 10 setup. And you'll be logged into the Windows 10 desktop for the first time. So you'll be presented with a welcome to Windows notification on the Edge browser. And if you right click the start button and go to Device Manager, you may see that some devices don't have drivers. However, if you leave your system idle for 5 or 10 minutes, Windows will automatically install the drivers from Windows Update. We can also right click the start button and go to settings and then update and security and check for updates manually. And we get some updates including driver updates. And if we go to the activation tab, we'll see that Windows 10 is activated. So if Windows 10 isn't activated, the settings are going to have a watermark at the bottom and some personalization options will be grayed out. So I'm going to right click the start button and select System and then rename the PC. So I'm going to rename it something more meaningful, such as OptiPlex 7050, which is the model number. So when signed into your Microsoft account for Office, for example, it'll list your PC name, and if you use the default names that Microsoft give, you're unlikely to know what computer name corresponds to what computer. So if we right click the start button and go to settings, we can now go to personalization and we can change the color from dark to light. And we can also change the start menu from the small start menu to the full start menu screen. And we can right click the taskbar to change some settings. So for instance, we can change the search box to a search icon, which gives us some more space, and we can enable the touchscreen keyboard. And we can unpin unwanted items from the taskbar. Now if we open Microsoft Edge, we'll note that we've got the old version of Microsoft Edge and not the updated Chromium version of Microsoft Edge. So it actually tells us that there's a new Microsoft Edge when we open Microsoft Edge. So let's just download the new Microsoft Edge and install it. So I'm going to select Focus for the new tab page, and this is the install without the Microsoft account, so I'll continue without signing in. Now I'm going to go to the settings, and I'm going to change the address bar settings, and I'm going to change the search engine from Bing to Google, because the Bing search engine is just terrible. Now we're going to search for Dell Command Update 3.1.2, and we need this version because this is the version updated for Windows 10 version 2004. So let's go ahead and download it. And we'll go ahead with the install. So other OEMs such as Lenovo and HP have very similar OEM update utilities. So we basically install the program and then we use it to look at our current system and the installed drivers, and then it compares the installed drivers with the drivers available on the OEM's server. So let's just go ahead and restart before looking for a driver update. Okay, so let's just log back in, and then from the start menu we're going to select Dell Command Update. So when we first launch Dell Command Update, we'll be asked whether we want to automatically look for updates in the background, so I recommend leaving this setting on. And now we're going to select check to see if there's any updates for this system, and it's found a handful, so we can view the details and then we can go ahead with the install. And after it installs the updates, we can restart the computer. And we can launch it just one more time to see if there's any additional updates. And the system is up to date, so we can close Dell Command Update. So now we're going to go to office.com and sign in with a Microsoft account. And we're going to select Install Office. Now, because Office isn't installed on any other system, and this system only has a single license, I'm just going to select Install Office and then select Office 64-bit. Now, if I go back to this page after installing Office, we'll see a system listed here. And because this Microsoft account only has a single Office license, I'm going to need to select the system that has Office installed and then select Sign Out of Office. So once the Office setup file has been downloaded, we can double click it and then accept the user account control prompt. So it will take a while to download and install Office, and it will do all this in the background. And then we can select Close. So we can right click items on our start menu and unpin them, and we can pin the items we want to the start menu, and then we can rearrange them. So we can launch Word, and in the case where we're already signed in with a Microsoft account, we just need to select Next and then accept the license agreement, and then select the default file formats. In the case where we're not signed in with a Microsoft account, when we first launch Word, we'll be prompted to sign in with a Microsoft account. And we need to select Continue in order to activate Office. Now, once you sign in with your username and password, be careful here, because if you just select Next, it will change your Windows account into a Microsoft account, and you may not want this. So if you don't want this, select Microsoft Apps Only, and this will allow you to use Microsoft Office without having your Windows account being a Microsoft account. And then select Accept, and then select your default file format. And recall that you can access the emoji panel using Windows and full stop, and is actually more useful for symbols. And you can have a paste clipboard by pressing Windows and V, but you'll need to turn it on before you use it. So this allows you to copy and paste multiple items.